It's 12 o'clock. We're about to fill your ear holes with the sounds of Steve and Igo.
Oh, gross!
Get ready for the most in-depth discussion on everything ECU. Players, coaches, the program, and more. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Play ball!
You ready? This is 94.3 The Game. This is where the Pirates play.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. It is May 14th, and we've got a lot to talk about, as we always do on HTC ECU Athletics. There's never a dull moment. Pirate Baseball getting ready to take on USF in Tampa to conclude its regular season and get ready for the conference tournament. If you got a question on that, drop it in the chat. As always, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. You got a question, comment, concern, we'll address it over the course of the next hour on any of those platforms, live for the next hour till 1 o'clock. Also, you can check out our shows through the IBX Media app, archived there, also archived on Spotify and Apple Podcast. All right, today we're having a little bit of a special addition to the show. As I said, you can still ask your questions, and we'll get to whatever else you want to, if you want to address those things in the comments. But today we're going to dive into basketball. It's been an interesting offseason for Mike Schwartz and company, so we're going to look at what moves they've made, who they've lost, who they've gained, and get into that discussion. And we'll talk some playoffs the back half of the show as well. All right, let's introduce today's cast. We've got a full crew. We're going quad box. We got the interns hanging out. We'll start Brady Thomas, fresh off graduation. He's back in Charlotte. Brady, how's it going, man?
Good. How about yourself, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. How's it feel to be a college graduate?
Oh, it feels good living the freshly unemployed life right now.
Freshly unemployed, so unemployed he's willing to take some time out of his day to join us on Hoist the Colors. We still have ongoing Hoist the Colors intern James Giglio. He's back in Raleigh-ish, right? How's it going, James?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been good. Glad to finally be back on the show.
Man, you guys are fired up to be here. I tell you what, we're going to have a lot of fun over the next hour. Philip Hilgen, he's behind the glass. He's putting all this together. Philip, how's it going?
I was doing good till these two turds showed no enthusiasm at all. Brady, I do have a question for you since you are in Charlotte. Saw you post a picture from Quail the other day. Obviously, practice rounds being hindered by weather. Are you going to be able to go at all to the PGA this weekend?
Yeah, I'm headed out there tomorrow. Actually got a couple tickets from Michael Block himself, so excited to get back out there and watch some golf tomorrow.
This man is so unemployed, he's just hanging out with PGA golfers, so pretty cool stuff there. I do want to address this question from Lane Smith before we get into basketball. He says, how can you enter the portal with the season still going? Didn't he play this past weekend? He is referring to Keenan Bowman, ECU outfielder. So he has not entered the portal yet, Lane, just to clarify. He has announced his intentions to enter the portal, which I believe opens in the coming weeks after the regular season. So just want to clarify that. Keenan Bowman has not actually played in a game since the Wichita State series. So he has not had an at-bat, I believe, since the middle of that series, maybe before then. But his playing time has trended down. We can get more into that discussion later, but just wanted to clarify those things for Lane. All right, guys, let's talk some Pirate basketball. The NBA playoffs still ongoing, obviously, so that kind of got me into some basketball mode, as despite the fact we're sitting here in mid-May when we may not otherwise be thinking about Pirate hoops. And also the portal is ongoing, although slowing down for the most part. ECU has filled 12 of the projected 13 scholarships for this coming season. And just to kind of as a brief recap for people who have not been following, outgoing players, you've got R.J. Felton, you've got C.J. Walker, two critical guys who were leading scorers. Obviously, R.J., one of the best players in school history. You also lost point guard Cam Hayes, who I think entered the portal hoping for an extra year of eligibility. I don't think that's going to happen. But those are your three main losses. You had Jan Farrell enter the portal, some other guys as well. And then there's been a lot of incoming players we'll get to here in a minute. Also, Jordan Riley returned, one of your leading scorers from a year ago, big piece there. You also returned Jay Shane Woodard, who was a key role player, part-time starter, and Travion LeBeau as your key returners. So before we dive into what they have added specifically, we'll kind of go around the horn here about how the offseason has gone to this point, just general thoughts. We'll start with Brady. What have you made of Mike Schwartz's offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just kind of gone how ECU fans would have expected. I mean, getting some low end guys on some better teams that just didn't get much opportunity. And for ECU, it's just playing in the American Athletic Conference. It's just a kind of they're just snagging them up, seeing what they can assemble on the roster with guys who didn't get much playing time last season.
James Giglio, anything strike you as a key retention or key addition to this point?
Yeah, no, it just shows me that this is what kind of college basketball is, kind of what college sports is. You have a good year with the team. You're coming back with pretty much a completely different team. Only 4 returners, it looks like, that were on the team last year. And I mean, I don't know if Reed Kaysen's going to be a big contributor. He wasn't really that much of a contributor last year, but he's one of the 4 returners I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, just that's just kind of what college basketball is these days. But it is good that Riley and Woodard are coming back. I think those guys are going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, this is another offseason fill-up where ECU, for all the uncertainties we'll get into, they have managed to retain their top player. Obviously, RJ the last few years, you did lose Javon Small a couple of years ago. He missed the second half of that season due to injury. But you retain Jordan Riley, who I think a lot of people, I don't want to say assumed was going to leave, but certainly weren't sure he was going to return. And yet here he is.
Yeah, that's the key. You don't only want to have a guy who is a impact player, but is a guy who has just played a significant amount of minutes in your program. It says something about the culture and the continuity that you were able to keep him, but then he can also teach the incoming players, whether they're freshmen or transfers, what Pirate basketball is about. And we know that Mike Schwartz and his staff are big on the culture. It's not what we do, it's how we do it. And not every coach in the country is that way. So I think that is important to have someone who has been as successful as he has in the program, as well as holding on to guys like Travion LeBeau and Jay Woodard, man, because those guys are just Mike Schwartz guys. They're tough, they're blue collar, and that's what Coach Schwartz loves.
All right, I'll run down the roster as it projects now in terms of scholarship players, and then we'll continue to dive into everyone's thoughts on maybe some intriguing players here or there. All right, so Jordan Riley, we know, is coming back. Again, 14.5 points per game, 6 rebounds per game last season. Great in transition, great defender, elite athlete. Jay Shane Woodard, 6'7", can play point guard, can play the wing, can play the 4 in a smaller lineup. 6 points, 4 rebounds per game last year. You expect him to take another leap. You also return Travion LeBeau, who's an undersized forward, 6'3", but more of your energy player, 3 points, 4 rebounds per game last season. James mentioned Reed Kaysen. Didn't play a lot, but played more down the stretch as a 6'10" big. And then 2 bench players who we didn't see a lot of. Tybo Bailey, who got some playing time late, is back as a sophomore. And then LaDante Felton, who redshirted, is back as a redshirt freshman. So those 2 guys, ECU expected them to take a step, I would assume, upon returning. So technically speaking, you have those 6 scholarship returners. Now, the incoming players are the following. So point guard Corey Calker, junior college commit, former Louisville commit, averaged 13 points per game at Eastern Florida State, averaged 24 points per game at the JUCO, Northern Virginia JUCO, the year prior. So a scoring point guard, shot 35% from 3 this past season, 4 assists per game. They also added Giovanni Imaguro, 6'10", 265-pound big, true big, 6 points, 4 rebounds per game last year at George Mason. Now, it is fair to point out he sat behind a guy who was an all-conference caliber big, so they couldn't play together. And then Imaguro, if you look at his numbers the year prior at Siena, were about double, as far as minutes, all that. So I would expect Imaguro to put up similar numbers to what he did at Siena at ECU, because he'll have a bigger role here. Eli Delore, the transfer from Providence, maybe the biggest X factor in this class. 6'10", can shoot the 3, but didn't play a lot on a Providence team that wasn't very good. So you wonder how he's going to project here. Pirates also added Isaiah Mbang, a backup point guard on paper. Averaged 6 points, 3.4 assists per game last year at William & Mary, where he was also a bench player but also an all-CAA guy for the 4th team in that league. And then the Pirates have added 2 incoming freshmen, 6'10", Vito Perkovich, I believe is the pronunciation, can really shoot the three, kind of a stretch four. And then Dahi Quinn, who's like a slashing 6'4" combo guard. So a lot of moving parts here, gentlemen. And we'll, again, go around the horn on what piece kind of stands out from the newcomers that you are most intrigued by. We'll start again with Brady.
I'm lagging here, so I just barely heard the end of what you said.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Do you have a newcomer from this list that really stands out to you?
Yeah, I think the point guard, former Louisville commit, can be a good addition to this offense, especially with Jordan Riley playing the two. Seems like a good assist guy that can help out Jordan Riley in all ways, so Riley doesn't have to be the primary ball handler.
James, how about you?
Obviously, Eli, as a Delorier or Delorier?
Eli Delore, I believe, is the
Delore,
pronunciation.
okay. I remember there was somebody on, I think, Duke with Delorier. But yeah, no, he from Providence, I think will probably be the biggest addition. But the two that stand out to me are Corey Calker, who Brady mentioned, and Isaiah Mbeng off the bench. Those are two, I mean, guards, potential point guards, even though they are a little undersized. I kind of just looked up their vitals. Corey Calker, 6 foot, 180, and Membeng is 6'2", 170. So two very undersized guards. But I mean, they're gonna have to get downhill and take some of the pressure off Jordan Riley, like Brady said. But those three, I'd say.
What do you think, Philip, as far as anybody really stand out as far as additions?
Yeah, I was thinking it was Delorier as well there, James, because of Javin Delorier is who you were referencing there, class of 2020 at Duke. I think just the fact that it is looking like there's a true front court coming together. I think that's something that East Carolina has lacked. I think we haven't had a true – I hate to say it. Last true big, I would say, was Luigi DeBow. I mean, Reed Kaysen is, but you know what I'm saying? Like, guys that you kind of actually trust in a game. The fact that you have Delorier, how do you say it?
Mbeng,
yeah. And then you've got the kid, Vito, whatever.
We got a lot of pronunciations.
Yeah, we got a lot of pronunciations we got to get to. As well as retaining Reed Case, and it looks to me like you have a 4-5 starter and backup. That is huge. I think that size is something that has hurt us. Physicality is something that has hurt us. And especially for a coach that wants to play physical brand of basketball, and you see it with his guards, but they just haven't had the type of players that can do that in the front court. And yes, it is becoming more of an outside shooting game, but at the end of the day, you still got to be able to get physical, bang bodies, finish at the rim, and go after rebounds. And I see how much better this roster is coming together from a front court due to really those three additions.
Yeah, I have some concerns about the roster, which we'll get into, but I think the same can be said for point guard, and a lot of it depends on how Calker projects to the Division I level because he has not played at this level. But we have not seen ECU have a true big, as you mentioned. You know, Imaguro listed at 6'11", 265. So like, he can just stand there, and he's a presence. We have not had anybody like that. You know, Malonga was more – he looked the part, but he just looked like he was lost on the court. Imaguro is an experienced big. He's going to know what to do. He's going to impose his will on people. And then, Cam Hayes was okay. He made some plays, but he was not a create point guard. He was not a guy who got into the paint, dribble, drive, penetration that led to kickouts for threes. I would say, Pettiford did some of that during his 1 year at ECU, but the problem with Pettiford was he was always hurt, so you didn't know what to expect game to game. So I don't know, Brady, for me, I think a true point guard, and I don't know if Calker can be this guy, but we'll see. His numbers encourage me. A true point guard who can actually create and shoot could change the whole dynamic of the offense, which is going to be needed, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about 100 times last season, that they really need somebody that can space the floor. And then if he can dish the rock and shoot the ball, it's going to put some real pressure on a defense. Because what you were getting most of the time with RJ was a drive to the basket. So it became the paint was clogged 3/4 of the possessions they had. So if Calker can kind of stay outside the arc and pass the ball, it'll be good for this Schwartz offense.
A lot of this, guys, is at this point a projection. I ran the numbers. If you look at the Division I level from last season, ECU, what the roster currently has, is collectively 38.7 points per game. So, like, that obviously is underwhelming on paper. But, again, Corey Calker's a JUCO guy. How is he going to progress? Eli DeLore, you're expecting to take a big leap. Those are the two X factors to me. If those guys who I project as stars right now work out, I think this team can be pretty good. If they don't hit, I'm worried because the three-point shooting, you expect DeLore to shoot better than he really ever got a chance to at Providence. You expect Calker to be a shooter. You know, Perkovich can shoot it, but is he even going to play as a freshman? I don't know. You know, Mbang was just an okay shooter at William & Mary, and you lost your best shooters in R.J. Felton and Jan Farrell. So, like, right now, I don't think this team is any better on paper at shooting the three, at least proven, than last year's team was, James. So that was a focus going into the offseason. I really don't know if it's been addressed, although I guess time will tell.
Yeah, time will definitely tell. And, again, a lot of question marks, you could say. Corey Calker, again, we haven't seen him play at the Division I level. So, I mean, he could come out and be just a sharpshooter all of a sudden from day one. But, I mean, probably not, but he could be. DeLore, he'll definitely get a bigger opportunity than what he had at Providence. And you didn't mark him as a stretch four. So, I mean, he could, step out, shoot a three. But this team's really going to need some three-point shooting. I think that's kind of where this team kind of gassed out last year in the AAC tournament was their lack of three-point shooting. Obviously, their lack of size was a big issue last year, but Philip talked about it earlier. That was kind of addressed, and I think now three-point shooters and shooters in general are their biggest need right now. But I think a lot of question marks, and I mean, like I just said, they could come out and light it up day one, or they could come out and shoot 9% from three, like whatever they shot in that tournament game that they lost.
The old 9% three-point shooting percentages happen too many times to the Pirates. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will continue this discussion. We'll take a look at some of the guys on the roster we feel maybe can make a leap compared to last year's production, whether newcomer or returner. We'll also touch on some of the schedule that we've heard about. ECU scheduled to play Michigan State, North Carolina, at UNCW as well. And the Pirates still have a scholarship left to work with, so we'll also address what they need to add with that spot. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday talking ECU Hoops. We'll be right back.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Let's get this party started
on 94.3 The Game. You're on, big guy.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday edition of the show. We're having a bit of a round table today, looking back at the ECU basketball offseason to this point. So we just went through really all 12 scholarship players, kind of what has been added, what has been lost, and then where ECU will try and go from here. We've got Brady Thomas, James Gilio, and Philip Pilkinson hanging out. Intern Chris also helping out behind the scenes as well. All right, guys, ECU still has a scholarship left to utilize. And we kind of touched on it in the previous segment, but I do feel like, you know, I would say right now I would project the starting lineup in some form or fashion. Calker at the point. Maybe Mbing if he comes in and beats out Calker, but also, you know, Jordan Riley, Jay Shane Woodard, Eli Delore, and Giovanni Imagiro. I would like them to, if possible, add a starting caliber 2 or 3 who can just straight up shoot the ball. And they tried to do that. Tyler Russ ended up 6'7" wing, ended up going to BYU instead. He was around a 38% three-point shooter. So that seems to be the focus. But I don't know, Brady, like, is it just best player available at this point in time, or do they try and just get a pure shooter? What would be the ideal fit right now to round out this roster?
Yeah, like you said, I would go. I mean, there's guys. I know there's guys at the JUCO level that could just straight up sling the ball, and I think that's a good shooter. You try to get something like that, or else I'm still some question marks in the big man area. Got Reed Kaysen that could be coming in playing the 5 again. I think if you go someone that maybe is a little smaller than Giovanni, and just try to get 10 minutes out of a big man on the bench to back him up. So I'd go either one of those two. But other than that, I'm not seeing like a whole lot of holes anywhere.
And I mean, there's not a lot of it depends on what's available in the portal too, because you're getting late in the process. Now, one thing that somebody brought up the other day that I want to point out is you've got the whole NBA draft process coming up to where guys can pull out and go back to school in June, and that could lead to a trickle-down effect where maybe somebody is available or thought they had a spot somewhere where it doesn't end up being a spot, so that could play a role. So I don't think ECU's in the worst position holding this final spot, but what do you think, James? What would you like to see addressed here?
Like you mentioned, probably a 3 or 2 that can shoot a 3. I mean, maybe just a 3 and D guy. I mean, that's kind of the basic answer here. It's kind of the obvious answer here. Like you said, it is really late in the transfer portal process, but the draft process is, I mean, I think the NBA draft is in June and middle of June. But besides the 3-point, a small forward that can shoot, I'd probably say a bigger guard. Like I mentioned earlier with Calker and Mbing, I mean, they're both very undersized. And if they both turn out to not be very good, you probably want to get another point guard on the roster, especially one that's definitely a bit bigger. 6 foot and 6'2", 180 pounds for Calker and 170 for Mbing. So I would say probably a bigger guard would be the need, I would say, if you couldn't pick shooter. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
You know, I'm almost thinking as Jan Farrell is still in the portal, maybe just try and bring him back. I don't know. Like, it seems like he's kind of a fit here. That probably won't happen, but it just kind of went through my mind. Philip, what do you think about, you know, the last spot to utilize here?
You want a shooter. You want the 3-and-D guy. But at the end of the day, look, at this point last year, you didn't have C.J. Walker. Was he May the 21st, 22nd?
Yeah, late May.
So I'm going to go best available. If you feel like you can get a guy who's a difference maker, I don't think the position matters. I don't think you're in a situation where there is anybody in this starting five that is too good to be replaced. And I'm not trying to dog on them. I'm not saying they're bad players. But at the end of the day, if somebody, like you said, falls through the cracks, what you need is hey, I didn't go to the draft. I think I can get a spot at Marquette. And that guy takes it, which funnels another guy down to Pitt, which funnels a guy to us, kind of thing. So, or a Georgia Tech, right? If you can get a guy who should be a starter at an ACC school, but he is the last stone to fall in a domino effect due to somebody pulling out of the draft, it doesn't matter what position he plays. Just get the best guy. Find you a difference maker. Find your C.J. Walker. I don't care what position he plays.
Fair point for sure. All right. East Carolina with Mike Schwartz has, in terms of wins, definitely trended upwards all 3 seasons. And last year, 19 wins. We can have the whole discussion about how weak the schedule was, all that. One thing that we do know is the schedule will be a lot tougher, at least it appears on paper, going into 2025, 2026. The Pirates are scheduled to play at North Carolina in a guaranteed game. They're scheduled to go to UNCW as part of a home-and-home. They're scheduled to play in this the Florida, some sort of tip-off tournament. I think Gulf Coast tip-off or something. Fort Myers tip-off, I believe, with Michigan State and St. Bonaventure, reportedly. Now, that's not 100% official, but D1 docket reporting that. So the schedule should be tougher. Who knows what the American will look like? It's always kind of a crapshoot. I just, you lose one of your best players in school history. You lose C.J. Walker, 2 all-conference guys. I'm going to struggle with what are fair expectations for next season because on one hand, you just gave Mike Schwartz a 1-year extension. It's the 4th year of his tenure. You had a bigger pot of money to utilize, from my understanding, with the NIL, transfer portal, revenue share, all that. So what are fair expectations in 2025, 2026? And this, I think, could be an answer that's all across the board. So we'll start with Brady. What do you want to see as a recent alum of ECU? What do you want to see for this program to take the next step?
Yeah, first off, I'm not really grasping the really tough non-conference schedule. I mean, we played 2 non-Division I opponents last season, and then we're booting up to playing Blue Bloods. I'm not really grasping that aspect, but I don't know. I would like to see them at least show consistent form because the start of this past season they were all over the place, and then I think it got a little bit better at the start of conference play, and then down the stretch I feel like they were playing everybody close. It didn't matter who came to town, where they were. So just some form of consistency here, especially because we all know that Mike Schwartz hangs his hat on defense, and last year we were giving up 85 points to mediocre teams. So it's just a form of consistency to show really what ECU basketball is, whether that's in the 18 to 22 win range.
Good thoughts for sure, James. Your take on what constitutes success as we sit here in early May, probably a little early, but early projection going forward.
With those non-conference games that you named, or those 4 non-conference games, 3 of those were tournament teams last year. I'm obviously not expecting them to go into the Dean Dome and get a win. I'm obviously not expecting them to beat Michigan State. Those games, you just got to go in with a nothing to lose mentality. UNCW, they did kind of lay an egg against them last year, and they turned out to be pretty good. I would like to see them go down there and get a win. That's probably the game I have most circled for the non-conference as the biggest opportunity. But when it comes to the conference and kind of the season overall, like Brady said, consistency is going to be big. Not losing games to Rice at home by 20, and maybe getting past that 4-game win streak. That's the number, right? 4?
Yeah.
That they have never.
I think they've never won 4 in a row in conference play.
Yeah. So maybe 4 in a row, 5 in a row conference wins will satisfy me. But you can't miss, like, I mean, they won 19 games last year. You can't miss the mark by, like, you can't win like 14 games this year. Then the season would be like a failure. But the schedule is tougher. Obviously, the American is going to be weird, but just overall consistency, I'd say.
The American is going to be weird. That is, it always is. Somebody random will be very good next year we don't expect, and we'll see who that is because that's how the American works. What do you think, Philip? Is it too early to say what constitutes success since we don't know the full scope of the schedule and everything, or can we give a decent outline?
You don't know the full scope, but you kind of can fill in maybe some of those other teams. You know, maybe you don't have a name and a face, but you know a talent level. So I want the same record we had last year, but I want to replace the loss to North Alabama with a loss to North Carolina. Replace the loss with Gardner-Webb to a loss to Michigan State or St. Bonaventure. So you can be better and have the same record. I would still think, hey, you want to be successful? Finish 500 or better in conference. And I don't remember the exact out-of-conference record last year. I want to say 9-5, but don't quote me. If you're 9-5 again, but again, your losses are at Wilmington in what was hopefully a more competitive game. You struggle in this tournament because you're playing really good basketball teams. You lose in the Dean Dome. 9-5, all of a sudden, hey, you took care of business against everybody you were 100% supposed to. That's the next step. No bad losses. And whether it's been Mike Schwartz or previous regimes, seems like every year there's a loss that has you scratching your head that you're wondering if you should even be a D1 basketball program. Whether it's South Carolina upstate, whether it's North Alabama, whether it's whoever the heck it is, can't lose those games. That's the next step.
8-5 non-conference.
Okay.
I just looked it up, so you were basically right on it. And then they started 1-4 in conference play, to Brady's point. Honestly, the second half of the season was some of the best ECU basketball we've seen ever. I mean, like from a program standpoint. So it's just, finding consistency early. We'll see what the schedule looks like. And with these new transfers, everybody's going to be trying to figure out early who can figure it out the earliest. It helps to have some continuity with Riley, Woodard, LeBeau, which hopefully will help some of the early growing pains. So there's your look at ECU basketball, the offseason to this point. Again, we'll continue to dive deeper into this throughout May and June. Once we know a final scholarship piece, we'll obviously look into that. Plus, the non-conference schedule should continue to come together into June. All right, we'll get a break in. When we come back, we'll shift gears. If you guys got any questions on Pirate Baseball, drop that in the chat, or ECU football will address that as well. But otherwise, we will switch gears to the playoffs of the NBA next. We'll talk NHL as well, as the Canes are looking to wrap things up against the Capitals. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Listen up. He's talking now.
Who is this?
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in, Hoist the Colors. On a Wednesday, it's May 14th. We just talked a lot of Pirate Hoops. You can always check out the archive on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube, Facebook, and X if you missed any of that conversation. We've got James Gilio, Brady Thomas, Philip Pilkington hanging out in our roundtable today. We'll now talk about the association. I was thinking last night as I was watching some MLB how fun it would be to have like R.J. Felton, an ECU player in the NBA. I think a lot more people would be engaged. But either way, these playoffs have been fun, and we saw another really good game last night, OKC Denver. OKC wins 112-105 to take a 3-2 lead. But we'll start with the Indiana Pacers, which beat the Cleveland Cavaliers guys to win that series, advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight year. And I'll be honest, I have not watched much Pacers or Cavs basketball. I know the Cavs had a really good season. Donovan Mitchell, great scorer, but has not been able to advance to the conference finals in his career. And how big of a surprise is it that the Pacers won this series in 5? We'll start, James Gilio, your take on Pacers.
Yeah, 2 years in a row, the Pacers have been to the conference finals. Last year, a lot of people were saying it was kind of fluky. They played the Knicks in the second round, who ended up getting banged up. This year, the Cavs, I mean, they had that one game where they were out. 3 players were out, but besides that, this was a beating in 5 games. They had that one blowout win. Yesterday, the Cavs blew like a 15-point lead or whatever it was. Tyrese Halliburton had a game winner in one game. I mean, I felt like the Pacers are kind of just doing whatever they wanted, winning in different ways. And this has been very impressive. A lot of people forget that Rick Carlisle is their head coach. He is an NBA champion. And he's a very good coach. I think he might be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's already in or what his deal is, but he is a very good coach, NBA champion. And 2 years in a row, this Pacers team's in the conference finals. I think they have a legitimate shot to win the NBA championship, which is crazy to say. Because, I mean, the Indiana Pacers, besides having Paul George for a couple of years, have never really been that good in my lifetime, at least. I wasn't alive for those Reggie Miller days. So this is pretty crazy to say. But I think Pacers next Eastern Conference Finals will be it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, I was going to ask Brady and Philip do you guys think – clearly James thinks the Pacers can win it all. Are the Pacers capable of winning the championship, taking out a West team if they get there? Brady, what's your take?
I'm going to go with no. I honestly still think the Pacers are worse than the Wolves, Thunder, and Nuggets, to be honest. But I'm thoroughly not surprised that they knocked off the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys that doesn't have a ton of playoff success. So, and the Cavs roster is built in a very odd way, and obviously it's not suiting them well. So no, I don't think so.
Philip, do you think the Pacers can win an NBA title? Is it still too early for them?
Can? Sure. Would I be shocked? Probably. Now, with that being said, they have been the most dominant team so far in the playoffs. I think. Most consistent. Now, Giannis is a great player, but the Bucks are not a great team. Cavs, it's kind of the opposite, right? Like, they're pretty good, but they're young. And, again, Mitchell's their only star. And I am worried if they run into the star power of some of those teams in the West, is it going to happen? I would be worried if they ran into I think if they ran into a healthy Celtics team, barring the Celtics, playing like they did down the stretch in Game 1 and Game 2, they would, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Heck, if the Celtics pull off a miracle and win this series, I'm still, I'm biased, but I'm still taking the Celtics over the Pacers probably in the next round. But, yeah, they could. It's not that far-fetched. This is maybe the deepest the NBA has been in a long time. When you look at teams who can legit win this thing, they're a part of that group. Again, they're not the favorite, but this has been an entertaining playoffs.
It really has been. And speaking of, we'll stay with the Eastern Conference for a second, Philip. I'll get your take on this. Celtics down 3-1 going back to Boston tonight. Tatum obviously tears the Achilles, which I don't think we've talked about on the show. Sorry about that. Did the Celtics the defending champions, are they – no shot they just, roll over tonight, right? Do you think they come out fighting?
Yeah, Dom and I were talking about it this morning. We both think they win tonight and probably lose Game 6. I'll be honest with you, healthy Tatum, just the way this is played out, I don't really see them winning this series with a healthy Tatum. Now, with that being said, I originally said Celtics in 5, so that's what they would have to do is just win in 5 after dropping the first 2. And I've been saying it the last 2 years, man. Nobody's beaten the Celtics straight up 4 out of 7 unless the Celtics, in minimum 2 games, go out there, lay an egg, and shoot themselves in the foot. That's what they did in Game 1. That's what they did in Game 2. They have no one to blame for being in this hole but themselves. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Knicks. Knicks are a solid team. The Knicks went out and won Game 4. They proved that they can beat the Celtics. Like I said, I don't see them beating them 4 out of 7, but when you give 2 games away, it's tough. Like I said, I don't think they roll over tonight. I think they get it done at home. They've got to win 1 game in this series at home. I mean, holy crap. But, hey, the Cavs didn't win a home game, so the only home game that has been won in either of those series so far in the East has been the Game 4s by the lower seed.
Thus far, the best series in this round of the playoffs has been Oklahoma City and Denver, except for Game 2. The game has come down to the end of the fourth quarter, really, in the other 4 contests. OKC wins last night, 112-105. As a Denver fan, makes me sick to my stomach that we wasted a Nikola Jokic masterclass, 44 points, 15 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. He went 17 of 25 from the floor, 5 of 7 from three-point range, 5 of 5 from the line. After dominating Game 1, the Thunder figured out how to stop him. He took over last night, and then everyone around him crapped the bed. And Michael Porter Jr. is just – I just despise Michael Porter Jr. The guy is getting paid an $180 million max contract over 5 years. He is 26 years old. He's supposed to be part of a championship core. Outside of Game 3 where he went off with 21 points, which that counts him going off as 21 points, he has scored 2 points, 3 points, 8 points, and last night he scored 2 points. And he's not even just missing shots. He is barely drawing iron. Supposed to be an elite three-point shooter. I honestly hope Michael Porter Jr. gets sucked into a black hole. That's how mad I am right now with Michael Porter Jr. Keep him off the floor. I don't care if Russell Westbrook is airballing threes. Get him off the floor. James, your thoughts on OKC find a way to win it? And to be honest, look, you got to give them credit. They've made the plays in the fourth quarter. They look fresher. They're younger. They're deeper. And they're finding ways to win, while Denver right now, which is usually a strength, is finding ways to lose at the end of these games.
Yeah. I texted last night and said the Nuggets, these last 2 games, have kind of just gassed out in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. It's what you said, though. The OKC is deeper right now. Denver's not really a well-constructed. They have a fine starting 5, Christian Brown, though, I mean, is he really a starting level player in the NBA? I don't know. But the problem is the Nuggets just don't have anybody else. Like you said, Russell Westbrook is pretty much their only reliable bench piece right now. And that's saying a lot because Russell Westbrook is not very good. But yeah, OKC has looked like just the better overall team. They've looked like they look healthier. They look like they have more energy, and they've shown it the last couple games because they have gone the distance and closed out these fourth quarter games. Denver did have that one overtime win. But besides that, these last two, it's just looked like Denver's gassed out. And that's also can credit that to they played 7-game series versus the Clippers in the previous round.
So if Denver wins Game 6, which will be Thursday night, I think 8:30 tip-off, the pressure will shift back to own Oklahoma City going back home. And I actually like Denver in that spot, but it's just, can they win Game 6? Brady, what do you think? Going back to Denver, can they force a Game 7?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. They've looked a little questionable down the stretch in these past few games, and I think I texted y'all a couple days ago and said once OKC got that first close win in their pocket, they kind of have been doing better about closing out games instead of like they had I don't know if it was game 1 or 2 that they had choked down the stretch, but they've looked better in close games as of late. So I think I'm going to have to lean that maybe OKC gets it done in 6.
Phillip, your take as a somewhat of a Denver fan. You've got Denver family ties. Can Denver still pull this out? Are they done?
Look, man, this team has been down a series before. You come back. They're a championship-level team for a reason. I don't know what the heck's going on with Porter. I had a feeling coming out of Missouri that this could be – he would be a bum because of his back issues. But I don't think it's his back issues. I just think he's bad. So don't know why. I mean, he was number 1 prospect coming out of high school. You see glimpses of it, but don't see it consistently. But anyways, yeah, look, you guys can do it, right? It's a matter of doing it, and it's a matter of consistency from more than 1 or 2 players. And the best teams in the league, the teams that win championships, have 3 or 4 guys show up on a given night, and you guys have got to quit relying on just one guy on a given night. Jokic has a bad night, and, then somebody else shows up, or then Jokic plays good, and nobody else can play worth a damn. So, look, at the end of the day, this team has done it before. You go back, sorry, James, but to that Game 7 last year against the Lakers, you know that they can do it, but you don't know if. So, yes, I'm going you guys 100% can, but right now, am I predicting you to? No, you're too inconsistent. It's been too dang ugly.
Yeah. You go ahead, James.
It was 5. Lakers lost in 5.
Really? Was it 5?
Year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was either way, yeah.
T-Wolves series went 7. They lost. That was a weird series. So, Denver, we'll see. I mean, look, Denver's best when they have their back against the wall. But I don't know. I feel like giving away both these last 2 games in the fourth quarter is going to be tough to overcome. So, we'll see what happens Thursday night in Denver. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We will transition to NHL. Hurricanes looking to wrap up their series against the Washington Capitals. We'll discuss that more going on in the NHL after this.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here on the show. And we talked NBA. We talked a lot of ECU basketball earlier. If you missed that, check it out, our archive on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as X, YouTube, and Facebook. We're joined on this Wednesday by Brady Thomas and James Giglio, as well as Philip Pilkington. Brady may or may not. I think he is still with us, as his AirPods are still alive, just barely. So he'll hang in there for the final few minutes. Let's talk some NHL, gentlemen. And Philip and I were talking about during the break, we're getting closer to seeing Mikko face the Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup, although neither series is closed out. Dallas leads Winnipeg 3-1. Carolina leads 3-1 over Washington. But if this occurs, it would be something, Philip, as I think a lot of Hurricanes fans have some disdain for Mikko.
Oh, yeah, I think so. The way that whole thing was handled, they're not happy. And I think, in a way, some Canes fans want this. They want to prove to Mikko Rantanen that he made the wrong decision. They're not actively pulling for the Stars, obviously, and James is in the Raleigh area and a little more connected, so he could probably speak more to this than I can. They're not going to pull for him, but I think they're kind of almost in a way pulling for the series to happen, and it's hoping they can pull it out.
So your New Jersey Devils were eliminated by the Hurricanes, James Giglio. So
Yeah.
Are you now pulling for the Canes? Do you want to see the Canes lose? How do you feel about that?
I don't want to see the Canes lose, to be honest, for multiple reasons. Obviously, I'm in my brother's room, a couple Hurricanes stuff back there. So obviously, a lot of my family are big Hurricanes fans, and obviously, it would do well. It would make my dad's show do well if he gets to keep talking about the Hurricanes. If they keep going on a run. So multiple reasons why I'm rooting for them, but for them playing the Stars, yeah, I think a lot of people hate Mikko Rantanen around here. They'd love to see that matchup, and they'd love to beat the Stars and kind of send Mikko Rantanen home. That's kind of their dream scenario now. But right now, they should focus on closing out the series versus Washington, which I do think they'll do tomorrow when they play. And I mean, because Washington's been completely disappointing to me. I mean, I thought this was going to be like a series that could go to 7. Capitals have been very disappointing to me. But I do think Florida or Toronto is going to be a very, very tough matchup. I don't think they'll be able to beat Florida in the conference finals, but I do think they could beat Toronto. So I think that's the matchup they should be rooting for in the other side of the bracket in the East.
All right, Brady Thomas, I don't think you're a big hockey guy. You're a Cowboys fan and Oklahoma State guy. So is there any part of you that pulls for the Dallas Stars or no?
No, not really, to be honest. I'll kind of root for the Canes.
Okay. So you're on the Canes bandwagon.
But very casually. I would say, just to see North Carolina sports have the slightest bit of success.
Hashtag raise up, because we know the Hornets aren't doing it anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, Philip, the really only – I mean, Edmonton-Vegas has been good, but Edmonton's up 3-1. It's hard to see them blowing that, although it's possible. Florida-Toronto, is that the most intriguing thing in this round going forward?
Yeah, right. Like, on paper it is. But I will say both the teams in the West are down 3-1 are very good hockey teams. They're very capable of winning 3 games in a row. And I know it's more pressure when those 3 games have to be the final 3 games and you're facing elimination. It's much different than saying going down 0-2 and then coming back and, being up going into game 6. But still, those teams are capable. It could happen. But I think Edmonton, they're ticked off about what happened last year. They feel like they underperformed in the Stanley Cup Finals. As much as it does kind of seem like the Mikko Cup crash course, like, don't count out Edmonton either. I know they're up in their series, but especially if they can close it out quick in 5 and get the gentleman's sweep, man, they could be a real threat.
All right, gentlemen, we are about out of time on this show. Thanks, Brady, for hanging out, and enjoy the PGA Championship.
Will do.
James Gilio, keep living it up in Raleigh and rocking the purple and gold, man.
Yes, I'll represent here.
All right, those are our interns. Then we got Philip behind the glass. Philip, appreciate you as always, buddy.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
Enjoyed our roundtable edition of the show on this Wednesday. Again, if you missed any of it, check it out. We talked a lot of Pirate Hoops, off-season recap, the first half of the program. You can get that on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll be back Thursday at 12 noon. We'll talk ECU baseball, preview all the scenarios going into the regular season finale series against South Florida. Look at what the possible path to the tournament is at that point. We'll see you then on HTC on Thursday.